Welcome to Rock Solid, the Round Rock Business Leaders Podcast. Join your host, Bryan Eisenberg, as he explores the journeys of entrepreneurs and companies across Round Rock, Texas. From startups and nonprofits to large organizations, each guest shares their passion for doing business in this thriving community. Let's dive in.
Hi, I'm Bryan Eisenberg, and welcome to Rock Solid. And today, we have someone special, LaFleur-Anders. Welcome.
Thank you, Bryan.
You fascinate me because you have several different projects and businesses that you work on with a very central theme around all of them. And we definitely want to dive into that central theme. But I kind of want to just quick dive. You just came back from an event with 100 powerful women.
Yes.
And I know my wife was in the audience, and our friend Lisa, who's been on the podcast before, was there. My friend Kim Flores was there. Tell me what that was like and what it was about.
It was amazing. So Impact Alliance, I'm one of the co-founders along with Marianne Reed, Margaret Ross, Lisa Neves, and Michelle Long. And we got together as a beautiful story of how we got together in the Round Rock High School gym. Didn't know what we were meeting for. Marianne just said everybody needs to come. And one thing that we were, as different as we are and our experiences are different, we were just like, we want to help women, really not just empower them, because that's also another buzzword, right?
Yep.
Just empower, but actually give them the tools and the resources and bring those tools and resources in-house to help them advance personally and professionally. And so we've been working on it for months, and to see it all come together yesterday just ignited a fire under us even more, because the feedback that we received while at the event was like, we need more of this, not just talking about empowering each other, but like actually doing it. And so it felt great. I'm kind of ready to do it again.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that. Do you see one coming up in the near future?
Well, that's what we're talking about next week. We're like, hey, we need to ride this momentum, but not only just for the momentum for the business piece of it, but also like people actually got something out of it. We feel like we made a positive impact yesterday, which was very important to us, which is why it's called Impact Alliance, right?
Yep.
Just getting together to make an impact, and one is specifically a positive impact, because you can make an impact negatively,
Correct.
right? But a positive impact. So yeah, we did that, and we're ready for the next thing.
Is there one moment during the day that really stood out to you that you're like, that's the one moment I'm never going to forget?
Yes. So one of the women who are there, she is always supporting me in everything that I do.
Mm-hmm.
She shows up. If she can be there, she shows up. And when I got off of stage after the panel that I was on, I'm walking around her side of the room, and she came up to me and she was crying and just said, thank you for inviting me, for coming here. I'm so proud of you. And she's older than me, which, being a grandfather's girl, grandmother and grandfather's girl, that means a lot to me, that my elders are proud of me. And so that, I was just like, please don't make me cry, because I have like makeup on and other things. And she was like, I'm so sorry. But it made everything that we did leading up to yesterday so worth it, which I knew it was going to be worth it anyway. But me personally, to hear someone tell me how much of an impact it made in her life in the moment was just special, and I will never forget that.
I kind of want to like play back the clock, because when we had Lisa here, I know the event was scheduled for another day. And of course, if you're an entrepreneur, if you're in business, you know things happen. Sometimes they don't happen on schedule the way you would hope. What's the takeaway from that? Like, yeah, it didn't happen the first date that you planned, but you were able to pull it off, just recently, here in the beginning of April. What's the big takeaway?
What I love about the fact that we pushed it back, because it was supposed to be in January.
Yep.
And we looked at it and went, no, this is not our best. And we didn't want to give these women not our best. And so I love that we did that. Like, we could have easily gone, oh my God, that's a failure. Like, oh, we're embarrassed. We can't.
Yep.
But we got together and said, no, we want these women to walk into the room and feel empowered when they come in. And right now, where we sit right now, before January, that's not happening. And so the biggest takeaway is to adjust, to be flexible, right? And sometimes things as you plan them won't happen that way. And that's just life, period. Yes, entrepreneurship, but life altogether. And so to take an assessment and an inventory on what's happening in the moment and make a decision. okay, so if we're talking about making a positive impact, is this as it stands going to make a positive impact? No. Okay, so let's readjust and make sure that it does. So it was wonderful. It gave us more time to get more resources into the room. They left with wonderful gifts. We had amazing sponsors. It just gave us a moment some time to make even more of an impact together.
Rock Solid is produced and recorded at Round Rock Studio. Located right here in Round Rock, our state-of-the-art studio is built for podcasters and creatives alike. We offer multiple professionally designed podcast sets, top-notch recording gear, and a full photography studio ready for any project. Whether you're launching a new podcast or upgrading your existing one, we can help with multi-camera recording, editing, and everything you need for success. Record with us at Round Rock Studio, your local podcasting partner.
That's awesome. And you're also in the midst of planning another big event here in the Round Rock community, which I'm kind of jealous about because I don't think we have a TEDx general one here in Round Rock, but you are launching a TEDx Round Rock Women.
Yes.
So let's talk about that.
I'm excited about that. So I love this story. I actually applied for this license 3 years ago, and TEDx was like, nope, your scenarios are not diverse enough. I'm like, okay, cool. So then went back the second year and did it again. They were like, close, but not quite. We need more diversity in topics, right? And so skipped it last year. It was too busy. Didn't even think about it. And this year I was just like, okay, if it's meant to be, it will be. If not, I'll just leave it alone and I won't apply anymore. And so I specifically chose women, especially for this first one, because that's a passion of mine for women to make sure that they know that they have a voice and to use it. And so got it and then went, uh-oh.
Now I got to plan it.
I was like, this is a whole production. This is not just an event, right? It makes a difference who's on this team. It makes a difference how we handle the process. And I want to, not only because my name is attached to it, which is a big thing for me, but I love Round Rock. That's why I live here. That's why we've been here 18 years. And to put that, like the city's name on it is a big deal for me. And so I'm excited about it. I just didn't, until I received the license, really grab hold to like what is the expectation, so much to be compliant about and all the things. But we're excited for it. I love a challenge.
I love this fact. And again, this is just something that a lot of business people need to understand is sometimes you've got to step first, just have that leap of faith that there's going to be a brick underneath there. And, sometimes it's going to be wobbly and that's okay, but you can just keep moving it forward. Yeah. And I guess that's a lesson that, kind of is really behind your story. I know that you and your husband, got to the area, got into youth sports, and that's a big lesson, that resiliency, right, and that adaptability from sports. How did you see that impacting like everything you've done since you've gotten here? We'll talk about some of those other events as well.
Well, I have to give credit to my husband on the resiliency part. I'm tall, so there's this, assumption that I'm an athlete. I'm not. In no way am I athletic. Can't even dribble a ball. But he taught me, both him and my children who are athletes, just taught me about resilience and grit and, pushing and all those things that athletes are conditioned to do. And so even like in my business journey with the things that have transitioned and changed, I've carried that into everything. And I'm doing that now, even with TEDx, right?
Yeah.
It just... as an entrepreneurship is something else. Like it is a mirror. It will show you what you value, what you truly believe. And it's been a mindset challenge that it's just in lots of ways I'm like, oh my God, do I really think that way about, but it's been good because it's helped me grow. And so that resiliency is a part of that.
Yeah, because you weren't originally an entrepreneur. You were working at Dell, right, and then left to start your first business. Let's talk about what that progression looked like.
Sure. So I've always wanted to. That's crazy, but I was part of a workforce reduction 2 years ago. But prior to that, maybe about 6 months before, I wanted to leave. I just was very afraid to leave. Because entrepreneurship sounds really good.
Sexy.
Yeah, sounds really sexy. Buzzword, right? It sounds really good. And everybody's like, I want to own my own business and be my own boss. But it's not just about being your own boss.
Mm-hmm.
You are also your own accounting department and sales department and marketing department. And I knew that because my husband owned his business. And so it was scary to make that leap. So they kind of pushed me out the nest. And that happened. That transition was tough. But I was already operating Chestnut Publishing House.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, well, I guess I'm doing this thing full time. And it just taught me so much about my relationship with money, what I thought about finances altogether, what I had been taught versus, lies I believed about money. Like money was a big lesson for me. Status, titles, like that whole thing. So it was a personal development piece as well as professional.
It's interesting because, some people are, leap into greatness as entrepreneurs and other people get that swift kick in the where.
Oh, yeah.
And go in there. Do you think that actually gave you an advantage having that?
I think so, because one of the things I love sharing with women and just everybody is you're going to, especially as a startup, when you're just getting started, you are going to go through some tough transitions, especially if you don't have the financial backing. If you're bootstrapping, that's a big thing, right? But even if you do, there's still a lot to learn that you don't know. Because I came from the marketing world in Dell, and so I knew how to market. I'm a writer, so I knew how to do all of that, right? But what I did not know was a whole bunch I did not know, because my husband made it look easy.
Yep.
But his business was different. And so he could do those things solo. I actually needed to build a team, but I was trying to do everything myself. And so it's been a learning experience, but I wouldn't trade it for the world. I really wouldn't. So all of the things that I had to go through, I make sure that I share that with other women who are just starting their business and say, it's going to be hard at some points, especially if you're leaving a stable, steady income.
Yep.
It's going to be difficult. You're going to have to make some sacrifices and life is going to look different. But it's worth it if you keep going. And even though sometimes when you keep going, you have to make a decision to shift because maybe you're not going in the right maybe you thought this is what you wanted to do and you're like, this is not really my zone of genius like I thought. And you have to make a shift. There's still so much personal and professional growth in that.
To me, it sounds like someone gave you some real interesting advice or direction on how to deal with the parts that you don't enjoy, and getting you out of your zone of genius and dealing with that. What was that advice? Because obviously it's blossomed into greatness for you.
The biggest advice I had was to slow down. The second one was to delegate. Because, and I spoke about this yesterday, busy for a lot of people looks like productivity.
Yep.
So I just was busy doing all the things at all the networking events, at like everything, just moving around, thinking I was just, I'm building a business, right? And I had 3 people who did not know each other all say to me, you need to slow down. I can't follow you. I don't know what you're doing. You're doing everything that you can do, but that's not everything you need to be doing. So that was the biggest advice. And I had to listen and step back and go, okay, do I really want to do this? Nope. Scratch that off the list. And then also, this is not my thing. So let me delegate that. That's somebody else's zone of genius. And if I'm outsourcing or bringing someone on the team, that gives them the opportunity to flow in their zone of genius and make income for their business. So those two together, it really changed a lot for me.
Yeah, I know lots of entrepreneurs who get stuck in the urgent and not the important because they're scrambling to do things that are not necessarily best for them. But I often find, this is a lesson I learned, Michael Gerber wrote the ebook. He was a client of ours many years ago. And, he talks about, if you're a baker and all you know is have all the recipes and you're doing everything and doing the front of the store and you're doing all these other pieces, you don't have a business, you're self-employed, right? And there's a big difference between that. And you have to learn how to delegate, but you have to have the systems in place to delegate, because if not, you're just giving somebody else chaos.
Yes, I actually experienced that. I was like, I'm too busy. Now, this is in my busy for no reason stage, right?
Yep.
And I'm just like, I'm too busy. I need a VA. I have to have an assistant. And so I talked to somebody and she's like, okay, what do you need me to help with? And I'm like, I don't really know other than checking my email. Like it exposed, and that's why I say entrepreneurship for me has been a mirror.
Yes.
It's very much so. It was very exposing. You have to be vulnerable to be an entrepreneur because it will show you what you don't know. And where you're actually not good at the things that you thought that you were. But I didn't have the systems in place, and it took me a while to establish that. But it's been so much better for me on the wellness side too. Just decreasing anxiety and stress behind things when you have the systems
So
in place.
that you can be present for your family, for your
Exactly.
business, for
Yes.
for your community, whatever it is. Yeah, no, that's amazing. Now I want to give people a sense of the things that you're doing. So let me see if I got this right. So, we covered, you just spoke, you're doing the TEDx Round Rock Women, you've got Coffee Milk Media, you've got the publishing company, you've got the Reset with K.
Yeah.
Am I missing any?
One more thing.
Oh, okay.
Well, so one of the things that Coffee Milk Media is very, like, we're passionate about, we love documentaries. And
Yep.
so on April 19th, we will be
that's right.
showing
Show Me the Money.
Yes, I love this film. Show Her the Money is about it highlights how women-owned businesses are receiving less than 2% from VCs.
Yep.
Like, we're just not getting funding.
And not becoming the CEOs, and it's a real issue.
Exactly, it is. And so it goes, so we're watching the film, we're having a panel discussion, right? A call to action, and there's some connecting, but I want to go a step further.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't want to just talk about, hey, how do we get the money? But then what do we do with it?
Yep.
Like, actually bringing resources in the room that can help us beyond. So once you get the money, okay, now what, right? Education is a huge part of that. And so not just awareness. I think we are aware of many things, but then once we get the awareness, how do we move forward with that? And so that's what we are attempting to do. That's what we're going to do on April 19th at Penfold Theater. And I'm super excited about that.
Now, this will air probably after April 19th, but will people be able to still see the film somewhere else?
Yeah, for sure. So hopefully it will kind of, light a fire under other people to show the film different places in the greater Austin area. But also after this, I'm kind of thinking about it, going to get the virtual license to show it for those who want, because it is Easter weekend.
Yep.
And so, but I want more people to see it so that we're aware of how that's really affecting, women-owned businesses.
Now, we alluded to this at the very beginning. All these different businesses all do have one thing in common, which is your passion for storytelling.
I'm super passionate about storytelling.
And as we were talking off camera, it's become a buzzword, right? Everyone wants to do storytelling today as part of their business. But it's not as clear-cut as just words on a page.
Right.
What's the difference from your experience?
What kind of impact are you making?
Mm-hmm.
Last year, when we were contracted by the United Way for Greater Austin to plan and host this film screening of The Right to Read, which was executive produced by LeVar Burton.
Mm-hmm.
And it highlights the
favorites.
literacy, yes. It highlights the literacy issues in the U.S. That's making an impact.
Mm-hmm.
We joined up with Austin Public Library, went to the Central Library, had a huge screening, a call to action, and then gave resources. Hey, here's what you can do at home with your kiddos to make sure that they're reading and comprehending properly. Like, everything that I do has to have some type of social impact.
Intentionality.
Yes, very intentional. And with being intentional, and you posted about this the other day with creativity, right?
Mm-hmm.
Being intentional even about the creativity, but what impact are you making when you're telling a story? Even with TEDx, as we're onboarding speakers and talking to different people, okay, what story are you sharing? So what impact do you plan to have? And I hear from women, if I could just reach one person, if one person can not just grab hold to my story because it's about me, but the message behind that, and then some type of call to action, then what? Right? I'm always looking for the next thing to then make a positive impact somewhere. So our conversation was right on point, which is, you're telling a story, but what type of impact are you making with who's listening or watching?
I like the way you framed that. And it's funny, I just finished writing a manuscript that hopefully will be out later this summer. And one of the chapters, I talk about Jesse Cole from the Banana Bowl, Savannah Bananas.
Mm-hmm.
And Jesse and I had interacted on Twitter, and he sent me a letter, a little note with a box and a whole bunch of shirts and a whole bunch of things. And he thanked me. He said, one of my books, Be Like Amazon, I think it's somewhere behind me there. He said it was a big inspiration for his fans first mentality. And I said, that's why I write, because that one person I reached impacts millions every day. I don't have to reach millions.
Exactly.
And it's that impact that my one seed affected another to blossom. That's where power to words comes from. That's where words create worlds.
Yeah, they really do. And that's why even on LinkedIn, people always ask me about that, but it says a writer first.
Yep.
Because being a writer, that's exactly how I feel. And I write a lot about healing, about creativity, about growth, specifically now for leaders to lead, be, and do well, right? But I'm always encouraging with my words because life is real out here. And if you own a business, it's like extra real. And if you have kids, it's like extra, right? It's a lot going on. And so I always want to make sure that the words that I speak are positively impactful in a way. And it's not always something that people don't know. Sometimes it's just reminders. Like we need reminders of things. Take care of yourself. Are you resting? Healing is available. Like different things like that. But you're right. It's the impact that you make because that seed you sow feeds so many people.
Correct.
If it's just one person that pick up on it and they change or they heal, then they go out and they feed so many people.
There's so much more I can ask you. I know we're getting close on time, but I think people just need to go and follow you and see all the impact that you're having, from your Reset with Kay to the TEDx Round Rock Women, all the different things that you're doing. If people want to follow you and get to know more about what you're doing with Coffee Milk Media and everything else, how would they find you?
So LinkedIn would be how to connect with me, and then for Coffee Milk Media, we're on LinkedIn, but also on Instagram. So I've taken myself off of Instagram so I can focus on LinkedIn specifically. But Coffee Milk Media is on there and on LinkedIn as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you.